Chapter 255. The gun was a good gun with excellent performance in all aspects. As for people, Thea kept looking at the clown girl. Should she strangle her or shoot her? Forget it, she's a woman after all. Why should a woman make things difficult for another woman? Let's see if there's any chance of saving her. Thea withdrew the idea of killing the clown girl and silently used her mental power to try to brainwash her again. However, the magic that worked every time encountered a setback for the first time. The clown girl actually resisted her mental invasion. This was something new. Thea increased the output of her magical power again. Initially, her magical power entered smoothly, but it was soon attacked by a strong mental wave. Both sides fought to a draw. In the end, Thea was afraid that the strong mental wave would burn the clown girl's brain, so she unilaterally withdrew her magical power. This B*TCH could actually resist the mental magic with her crazy willpower. It was Thea's first time seeing something so non-magical. She was even more curious. However, looking at the clown girl's pained face, it must have been a huge burden for her when the two forces fought in her mind. If she could resist it, wouldn't the clown's mental resistance be even stronger? I'll spare your life today. When I have time in the future, I'll find a few mental patients in Star City and study them. Thea turned the gun and knocked the clown girl unconscious with the butt of the gun. She untied Damien and threw the clown girl's gun to him for self-defense. Thea contacted the Batcave. Babla, the child has been rescued. How's Batman? Do you need my support? Before Babla could say anything, Batman's voice came from the communication device. You go back first. I'll be right there. She could hear that the battle on Batman's side was not over yet. The sound of gunshots and his fists hitting the clown girl's face could be heard continuously. The arrogant Batman, since he said that he didn't need support, then forget it. His relationship with the clown was too complicated. It was better for outsiders not to get involved. After placing the clown girl behind the skateboard, Thea asked Damien, "Kid, are you afraid of heights? You, how dare you look down on me? My grandfather is a ninja master." Although Damien was in awe of her strange abilities, he still grumbled unhappily. Okay, I got it. Come up and stand still, don't move." Thea interrupted his bragging and placed him in front of her. What's so great about that? If it wasn't for the fact that the ninja master was backed by the 3 palace demons, I would have dealt with him a long time ago. Pulling Damien along, he slowly flew out of the mechanical processing plant. Looking at the corpses on the ground, Damien was a little surprised. Are you really my father's companion? He doesn't kill people. The corpses on the ground were all killed with a single blow. Could be seen that the person who killed them didn't hesitate at all. Damien, who had already begun training under the ninja master, could see this. However, there were no sharp weapons left on these people's fatal spots. This made the 6-year-old Damien a little puzzled. He didn't know how Thea killed so many people. I'm not his subordinate, and I'm not from Gotham. He can't control me. Thea couldn't be bothered to brag about her bloody experience in Gotham to a child who was only a few years old. Back in Arkham, Batman didn't say anything when she went in and out, and there were corpses everywhere. He probably knew her habits when he asked her to come and save people. Moreover, she didn't kill all of them. There was still a guy with a name behind the skateboard. After leaving the processing plant, Thea added an air shield on Damien's body. It could effectively resist the pressure of flying at high speed. As for the unconscious clown girl behind him, her body seemed to be much stronger than a normal person's, so she didn't have to worry about her. The skateboard was very fast. They flew back to the Batcave in 20 minutes. Knowing that Batman was still cleaning up, Thea handed the clown girl over to Barbara. It was up to them to kill or cut her up in the future. She changed back into her own clothes and used the Batcave's network to handle some work matters remotely. As the CEO of Quinn Group, she had very little free time. Every day, there were a lot of trivial matters bothering her. In order not to disappoint Moira, she could only force herself to deal with them. Fortunately, after being transformed by divine power, her intelligence and wisdom were far superior to that of ordinary people. She took advantage of the time to deal with some work every day, and it didn't drag down her training too much. Although the 6-year-old Damien was precocious, he was still a little nervous when he suddenly ran into a completely unfamiliar environment. He didn't know anyone around him. Barbara was paying attention to Batman's battle situation. When Jason Todd saw Thea coming in, he hid far away. Both of them ignored him. Gordon Sr.'s attitude was very friendly. He didn't care if the child was hungry or thirsty. The way he coaxed the child made Damien a little depressed. When he saw that Thea had changed back into her regular clothes, the Urban Beauty's outfit made him a little stunned. Although he didn't want to admit defeat, he was still a little shocked. This woman was really beautiful. Slowly walking to Thea's side and glancing at the documents on her laptop, Damien pretended to ask casually, "You're also an employee of Wayne Enterprises? You're very motivated." Thea was amused by the naughty child. "I'll say it again. I'm not your father's subordinate. Although my company's market value is not as good as Wayne Enterprises, the gap isn't that big. Not just anyone can hire me." "Do you accept employment?" Damien asked in a low voice. Thea looked away from the office documents. What did this child mean? "You want to hire me? I'm not short of money." Before she could finish her words, she was interrupted by a rush of footsteps. "Thea, come and help take a look." She fell into a sulfuric acid pool. It was Batman's voice. Could it be that something earth-shattering happened to make his voice change? Thea put away her laptop and walked over quickly. Oh my God! When she walked to Batman's side, she smelled a strong corrosive smell. His batsuit was stained with a lot of unknown chemicals, but he didn't care about himself at all. His eyes were focused on the woman in his arms. Looking at the woman in front of him who was corroded by various chemicals, she didn't even look human anymore. Was this Talia? Thea looked down at Damien who followed her. The child clenched his fists tightly. His little face was extremely tense, and he was trying hard not to cry. Was it really Talia? Thea looked at the woman's face again. The corrosion was too strong, but she could still vaguely see the shadow of the woman who had fought with her for 80 rounds. "Thea, her injuries are very serious. Can you save her life first?" Batman had completely lost his composure. His usual calmness was thrown out of the window. He was constantly injecting various injections into Talia's body, trying to keep her heart beating. "Let me do it." Thea pushed Batman away and operated the Eye of Horus with all her might, constantly looking for all kinds of toxic and harmful substances that were corroding her body. The situation was not optimistic. All kinds of chemicals were madly corroding her body. If it wasn't for Batman constantly injecting her with various injections, she would have died long ago. Chapter 256. There were many chemicals that had invaded Talia's body. Some were acidic, some were alkaline, some were metallic, and some were non-metallic. Thea wasn't acting this time. She had learned magic power during this period of time and was now quite proficient. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to do such a delicate job. She kept wrapping the toxins in Talia's body with magic power. Because she didn't know how harmful these green things were, she didn't dare to extract them from her pores. Thea directly made a big cut on Talia's arm and squeezed out a large mass of unknown chemicals. Her heartbeat has stabilized. Batman had been staring at several instruments. Now that the chemicals had been extracted, he knew that Talia's life was saved. His efforts weren't in vain. Phew! Thea also breathed a sigh of relief. She was under the most pressure. She had used up a lot of her spirit and divine power, but the magic operation wasn't finished yet. Now Talia's condition had changed from dying to half dead. If Thea didn't do anything, she would basically be in a vegetative state. There were still a lot of chemicals in Talia's body. Many of them had already attached to her internal organs. Thea's knowledge of chemistry was far from enough to identify all the categories. At first, she only extracted all the lethal ones that she knew. She wasn't very sure about the rest. Maybe the two substances would react and kill Talia. Batman was needed here. After learning about Thea's problem, he said that he would be the one to solve it. He didn't need the help of others and ran off to the side to mill and grind the detection equipment. Thea naturally couldn't stay idle. She took out her laptop and connected to the internet to analyze on the spot. When she encountered something she couldn't determine, Batman, the humanoid computer, would ask. She extracted a few more highly harmful chemicals. The rest was really hard to determine. Fortunately, Batman was very fast. She didn't know what he had dismantled. It took him half an hour to make something that looked like a metal rod. Scanning Talia's body, he could collect the trace elements emitted from her body and connect to the main computer in the Batcave to analyze the characteristics and toxicity of the substances. There was no need for Thea to guess blindly like a blind man touching an elephant. It seemed much more reliable. From time to time, Batman had to calculate the ratio of several chemicals to see if they were harmful to the capillaries, the intestines, and the respiratory tract. Sometimes 4 or 5 substances were mixed together, creating a messy relationship that even a genius like Batman couldn't figure out. What he couldn't do, Sia didn't bother to think about it. She just used the hard way. She made a deep cut near those unknown chemical substances and took them out first. Not far away, Damien watched as Thea cut her mother until she was covered in wounds. His heart ached terribly, but he also knew that it was time to save her mother's life. He watched them busying themselves anxiously. Halfway through, Barbara and Jason Todd also joined in to help, bandaging the wounds and cleaning the ground. The entire Batcave smelled very good. A large amount of blood mixed with countless chemicals extracted from Talia's body made Barbara dizzy and cover her nose. Jason Todd was a tough guy, but looking at his wobbly legs, it was obvious that he was forcing himself to hold on. "Are you completely fine?" Batman asked Gordon Sr. to take Damien out first, but after a while, he couldn't hold on any longer. He was too close, and he felt his vision turn black. He knew that he was still affected by the chemicals. In order to keep his mind clear, he took out a gas mask and put it on. Only then did he feel better. But seeing that Thea's face was still normal, and there wasn't a drop of blood on her body, he couldn't help but ask, "Huh?" Thea was studying the dark brown substance hovering near Talia's kidney. Hearing his question, she answered without thinking, "This smell doesn't affect me." Batman nodded, indicating that he understood. "Isn't it just super endurance? You're not the first person with this ability, so it's not rare. I'll note it down later." Thea didn't know that in Batman's little black notebook, there was a note about her super endurance right after her X-ray vision. After helping for half an hour, Barbara felt that she had done her best. She didn't have anything to do with Talia at all. Using the excuse that her injuries hadn't healed, she went home to sleep. This day's experience was really legendary for her. She came to the Batcave lying down, and now she could walk back as if nothing had happened. She needed to go home and think carefully about whether today was a dream. Jason Todd was a real man. Seeing that Thea was fine, he didn't wear a gas mask because he didn't want to admit defeat. Unlike Batman, he wasn't in close contact and could walk to the entrance of the cave to get some fresh air from time to time. Finally, he lasted an hour longer than Barbara and finally went back to rest. Halfway through, Thea called Star City. Talia's injuries were very complicated, and she wouldn't be able to go home for dinner. Batman politely said that he would be the host and treat her to a meal. Thea waved her hand, indicating that they should save the person in front of them from the gates of hell first. The two worked together for an entire night. Catwoman, who hadn't shown up for a day, greeted Thea and found that they were treating Talia. Although she was a little jealous, she didn't say anything when she saw that Talia's face was disfigured, and she almost didn't look like a human anymore. After staying in the room for a while, she also felt that the smell was too inhuman, so she left. Finally, when the sun was about to rise, the two finished treating Talia. Using Batman's self-made scanning device twice, all the toxic and harmful substances in Talia's body were removed. However, the chemical substances lingering in her body for a long time still caused a devastating impact on her health. All of Talia's organs were severely damaged. She couldn't even move normally, let alone recover. Miss Thea, the follow-up treatment. Batman was a little speechless. He already owed her a favor by treating Barbara. Now that he hadn't returned the old favor, how could he ask for a new one? He was already very grateful that Thea had helped him for an entire night. However, when he saw Talia's condition, he remembered the passionate woman from before. His heart ached as if it was being stabbed by a knife. In the end,
He went against his principles and shamelessly asked for help. It seemed that Catwoman's task of changing her name from Selina Kyle to Selina Wayne was a little difficult. Who said that Batman didn't have feelings for Talia? Thea sighed. After all, her friendship with Catwoman was deeper. However, she couldn't reject Batman's request. Actually, the best way to treat Talia is Ninja Master's Lazarus Pool.